Everyone, welcome to the West Orange Township West Orange Rent Leveling Board, the February 10th, 2022 meeting. A notice of statement of compliance will be read. The notice of this meeting was given to the township clerk and posted on the township bulletin board and the township website calendar and sent to the West Orange Chronicle and Star Ledger. This meeting has been properly noticed to the public in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act. No new matters will start after 8 p.m. And I ask everybody, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, as the board administrator, I'm going to turn over the meeting to our acting chairperson, Ms. Deidre Post Sanders. Ms. Sanders, the quorum is now yours.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to open up the meeting, starting with the matter of 91 Ashland Avenue, LLC.
Ms. Sanders, we have to actually do the roll call first. You're gonna have to.
Oh, okay,
Go follow me.
not a problem. All right, if you could help me with the roll call, because I've just run in, I'm still in the city actually, so
Okay.
let's do a roll call. If you wouldn't mind calling out everyone's name, I would appreciate it tremendously. Thank you so much.
Okay. Board member, Mr. Anthony Capani.
Present.
Board member Melinda Huerta.
Yeah.
Board member Asmer Geber Michael.
Present.
Board member Kabira Myers.
Here.
Board member Rodolfo Rodriguez. Board member Rodolfo Rodriguez. Chairperson Deidre Post Sanders.
Present.
Mr. Graziano, the town attorney.
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum. Thank you.
Now, let me ask, do I, after the roll call, may I open up the matter of tonight's meeting, or do I need to have any minutes read or any other types of reports, or may I proceed?
We have no minutes for tonight's meeting. So we
Okay, so now can I call the meeting to order in the matter of 91 Ashland Avenue, LLC? I'd like to make a motion to start that meeting.
I second.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you have to, if you make a motion, you have to ask for a vote.
Okay. This is a first for me, and so I'm happy to do it, but thank you for working with me.
Okay.
So now I need a vote. All in favor of starting tonight's meeting in the matter of 91 Ashland, LLC?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Excellent. Thank you. Any guidance from there? I think we know what the meeting is about this evening. A landlord is claiming hardship and would like to increase the monthly rents of his tenants. I believe we have everyone has all the notes in front of them, as well as the application, receipts, and the like. At this point, should we ask the landlord to speak?
Yes, Ms. Post Saunders, I would suggest that we ask the landlord, whether it's Mr. Vega or Mr. Vistardos, to just give a brief summary of what their case is about and what evidence they intend to produce tonight.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and speak. My name is Lazarus Vistardos. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for listening to us and for this hearing. Just want to give you a little background about myself. I am a real estate agent in the area. I am a homeowner in the area. I've been in West Orange 41 years, my whole life, and I currently own a 2-family home that I live in. I own this building and other investments in the area. I participate with the Hispanic Foundation of West Orange. I've helped with fundraising for Mayor Parisi. I'm heavily involved in the community. And, so when we bought this building, I was thinking things would be a little easier, but we basically need to increase the rent for, first off, to cover expenses, but also we want to do capital improvements. We want to rehab the building and make it nicer and more attractive. But unfortunately, with the rents that we're collecting currently, that's not an option. We cannot do that. I do know the area. Obviously, if you guys know West Orange, you're in the committee, so you would, but we're right a block away from Town Hall. We're a block away from police department, transportation, everything. I've also attached some emails earlier I sent to Peter, basically dictating a couple of things to prove that the rentals that we're collecting are significantly below market value for our area. All the listings in the area, like I said, I am a real estate agent, so I'm able to access all the listings that are available in the area. So I sent you a list of all the current active rentals in West Orange. There are none that are cheaper. I think the cheapest one was $1,550 that I sent. And even that was a 2-bedroom, but then the second one higher than that at $1,600 was a 1-bedroom. Okay. So I'm collecting $900 and $900, in some cases less than $900 a month from these units that are 2-bedroom units that I could easily be collecting $1,700, $1,800 for. I have parking available for the tenants if they need it, but again, I'm not going to give it to them for $900 a month. I mean, I have to cover my expenses. And again, the other document that I sent to Peter earlier was a listings for the last year of the rentals, okay? And I sat down and did a calculation. The average rental between 1 and 2-bedroom apartments in West Orange over the last 12 months was $2,163. The average of the current listings that are out on the market right now for rentals, 1 and 2 bedrooms only, I did not include 3 or 4-bedroom units. The average is $2,481. As you can see, we are well below market. We are well below the average of any rentals available in the area. And I feel that what we're asking for to go to $1,500, I don't think it's unreasonable. I think easily for 2 bedrooms with parking, like I said, downtown, a block away from the police department, a block away from Town Hall, a block away from public transportation, park down the street. I literally think that we could easily get $1,700, $1,800 for these units. All I'm asking for is to be able to raise it up to $1,500. And that's it for my presentation.
Mr. Vistardos, what proofs do you intend to submit, or what evidence are you going to show the board tonight in this hearing?
As far as
proving the hardship, I mean, are you going to show proof of rent for comparable apartments? Are you going to have an economist testify, or is it just going to be your testimony and Mr. Vega, or what other proofs can we expect to hear?
I mean, I sent it earlier this afternoon to Peter, and I was informed that it would go to everybody, but I actually sent all the listings from the MLS, from the Garden State Multiple Listing Service, to prove what I'm telling you right now.
Okay.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Am I allowed to ask a question? Are those active listings? Because I didn't unfortunately get to see it. Are those active listings, or are these apartments leased already?
I sent both active listings that are currently on the market right now for West Orange between 1 and 2 bedroom units, nothing more. I did not go to 3 or 4 bedroom because those are not comparable to my units. So there was no reason for me to add more information. So I did send that, and I actually have it in a PDF form. If there's a way for me to upload it right here, I could gladly do that. But I also sent, in addition to the current listings, I also sent all the listings for the last 12 months that meet the criteria of 1 and 2 bedroom units. And as I stated, the average for the last 12 months of rented units, 1 to 2 bedrooms in West Orange, was $2,163 a month. And the average of current rentals, 1 to 2 bedrooms, actively on the market right now, the average comes to $2,481. Now, I understand that some of these might be a little skewed. Some of these units might be in a different, the upper end of West Orange. It might be more expensive. Maybe they're larger 2-bedroom units. I understand all that, which is really why I'm asking to go up to $2,500 a month for a 2-bedroom unit. That's why I'm only asking for $1,500, which I think is extremely fair.
Well, Mr. Vistardos, let me just speak to procedurally what you're telling us. We decided at a workshop session yesterday in preparation for this meeting to follow the New Jersey rules of court and the New Jersey rules of evidence to the extent that they're applicable here. So I was asking you for just an opening statement, which would be like a summary of what your case is all about and what you intend. Like what you just said is technically just in the way of introduction, and it's not your case yet because we haven't sworn you in and you haven't, told us about where you got this this information from. That'll all come out as you're testifying. So is there anything else you want to say just as an opening statement, just summarizing what your case is about and what proofs you intend to show, or is that it?
I guess I jumped the gun and that's it.
No,
I mean,
that's okay. It's understandable, but I guess are you or your partner or both of you going to testify tonight?
It's primarily going to be me.
Okay, well, if Mr. Vega decides to give testimony, we'll have to swear him in too. So then, Peter, should we swear in Mr. Vistardos then? Unless any of the board members have any questions about the opening statement that Mr. Vistardos has just given, I guess now it's time for evidence, so we need to swear in the witness.
So I just want to make sure I understand how this hearing is going to play itself out. And Mr. Bastardos, please, I apologize in advance. This is actually the first time that we've had a hearing in probably over 20 years. So, this is on the job training, so to speak. But I just want to make sure that I understand the process of how this hearing is going to play itself out, because I think that most of us have questions, and I'm just wondering, Counselor, if we should save those questions for the discussion portion of this hearing or for the cross-examination portion of the hearing, or is that cross-examination being conducted by the objector, whoever that objector or objectors may be?
I think, Ms. Myers, maybe the best way to proceed would be to allow questions as we go along, because as I don't know, unless everyone's taking copious notes, where we might want to just stop Mr. Vistardos and say, wait a minute, I need some clarification on that particular point. What did you mean by that? Or where did you get that information from, or whatever,
Gotcha. Because I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, because I do have some questions about some of the things that he said in his opening statement, but I'd rather he be sworn in first. And then I'll, whoever, I guess I'll yield the floor to Ms. Poe, who will allow me to then ask my questions. Thank you.
I also have questions, but not in regard to the opening statement, more in regards to the application itself. So I guess I'll just wait. Are we going to go step by step, I guess, and once he's sworn in with the application?
Yes, I would suggest, Ms. Huerta, that we swear in Mr. Vistardos. We let him present his case, and if we have, unless it's something very pertinent to what he's showing us right at that very moment, maybe we should wait until the end, let him present his case entirely, and then we can go back and ask him questions. But again, unless if we didn't hear him, say a word or something like that, or if you missed something that he said, then obviously somebody jumps in and says, hey, Mr. Vistardos, can you repeat that again? My audio dropped out or something,
Thank you. I understand. Thanks.
Okay, Peter, will we have the swearing in now?
Yes, just prior to Mr. Graziano, just for smoothness of this hearing, I do want to point out that all evidence that has been presented to us, I did supply to our host administrator, so she does have it available. So if it needs to be presented to the board for a view, we have that capability tonight. Okay.
Excellent.
Okay, Mr. Vistardos, I'm going to swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Goodness.
Yes.
Will we be swearing in Mr. Vega as well?
I believe we swear in at the time if he chooses to do so.
Yeah, if he needs to testify, Ms. Poe Saunders, we can swear him in at that time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Shall we
so Ms.
continue?
Yes, so Mr. Ms. Vasardos, excuse me, please proceed with presenting your case.
Again, I kind of, like I said, jumped the gun a little bit initially, and I kind of went through everything, but really my case is very simple. I have a building. I am collecting significantly below market rent for our township, for our area. There's a reason, obviously, our rents are where they are in the area because of the town we have, because of the school system we have, and all the benefits of being in this town. And basically, I have 5 units, not 6, only 5 of them. One I was able to increase, but I have 5 units that I'm collecting significantly undervalued rent for. And based on the documents that I provided, like I said, I am a real estate agent in New Jersey. And I was able to go to the Garden State Multiple Listing Service, which lists all the apartments for rent. This is not Zillow. This is people actually paying a real estate agent to list their properties on the MLS like you would a house for sale. And again, I'm going to reiterate the numbers, but based off of the last 12 months of rentals, which I've sent all the listings that actually got leased and rented and closed, the average of those rentals was $2,163 a month. And that covers 1-unit apartments and 2-unit apartments. Now, I didn't separate for condos. I didn't separate for single family homes, multifamily homes, etc. I just separated by bedroom count, 1 and 2 bedroom units. So
May I
again,
interject?
yes.
May I interject? And you said that was specific to West Orange? 'Cause
Just
you
West
keep-
Orange Township.
Okay, because you keep referring to the Garden State Multiple Listing Service, and I want to make sure it's very specific to our township. Thank you for
Yes,
clarifying again.
No worries, no worries. The Garden State Multiple Listing Service is a service that real estate agents use to
Yep.
view listings and post listings.
Correct.
In that service, you can choose a specific town designation of where
Okay.
you want to search for homes. So when I did my search, I went Essex County, West Orange specifically, and I had all the listings broken down for just West Orange.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
And again, to furthermore, again, I'm going to be reiterating what I said in my opening statement. But the active listings, now what I said for $2,163, that's listings over the last 12 months. The current listings that are available right now for somebody that wants to come into West Orange or move out of another unit in West Orange and rent an apartment in West Orange right now, the cheapest apartment available is $1,500 on the multiple listing service specifically for West Orange. And even the second one above 1,500, which is $1,600, is even a 1-bedroom unit. So we have 1-bedroom units in West Orange renting for $1,600 a month.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Vasardos.
I had a question.
Go
Oh, I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead, Ms. Huerta.
You did say that one of your units, you were able to increase the rent. May I ask what that increase was raised from?
Well, the original increase was supposed to be $1,500 for that tenant. But he is cleaning snow, he's maintaining the exterior of the building, taking the garbage out, cleaning the hallways, etc., which would have been a cost to us if we hired a service. And we're actually giving him a break on the rent and charging him $1,300 a month instead of $1,500. So we're losing $200 for rent for that unit for the cleaning and for maintenance in the hallway and cleaning the snow in front of the building.
So what was the initial rent that he was paying?
$1,500.
No, the original rent is what I'm
You
asking.
increased it.
What was the increase though?
Well, no, I didn't increase
Not the
it.
total amount.
That tenant left and a new tenant was put in.
Okay, so the old tenant, how much was the old tenant paying? Right.
I think it was like 860, 855, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
I have a question. You said somebody is paying $1,500. Right now, they're paying $1,500?
Correct.
Who's paying $1,500 right now?
Um,
Because I'm looking on this list that you sent us. I don't see that number anywhere.
It's unit one.
Okay, because what you sent us said that unit one is paying 917. So
That's
what,
that was the old lease. I apologize. That was the old lease. That was the previous tenant that we were just talking about.
okay, so we need an accurate record in order to make a firm, decision on these applications. I mean, this is, so who's paying 1,500? Okay, you said unit one is paying 1,500, and since when has unit one been paying 1,500?
That was just a couple of months ago.
So why is that not in this application that was sent to us?
'Cause, again, we
in
started this
January?
application some months ago. And my apologies, but I didn't update it because we did start this probably about before Christmas. We were supposed to meet originally on Christmas.
Okay, I'm gonna need some confirmation, of exactly what each unit is getting. I don't know if that's,
Well,
Gonna
you have
require
everything else
submission
except for
or-
unit one.
okay, so everybody else is paying what's in this submission. The
That's
unit
correct.
two is paying 833, 835. The only difference is that unit one is paying 1,500. Is that right?
1,300.
I thought I heard 1,500.
He
Okay.
got a rebate.
It was
Okay, so he's
1,500,
paying,
but we're
got
giving
you.
him $200 off because he's helping maintain the building.
And that 1,300, is that pursuant to a written lease?
I believe I have it somewhere. Yes, I gotta look at my Google Drive file.
And what's the duration, what's the term of that lease? for
1
unit
year.
one?
1 year.
So then this application is not applicable to that unit, correct?
No, yes, correct. Yes, you're absolutely right. Yes.
Okay, so then you're only asking for increases for units 2 through 6, correct?
Correct.
All right.
May I pose a question? The increase would actually be about just, I don't want to say 50% of the current rents that are being charged. Is such an increased standard in your professional, I mean, you're a real estate professional in West Orange. Do landlords raise rents 40% from one year to the next?
Well, considering the fact that these are significantly below market, these rents, I think everybody on here can confirm and agree with me based on the facts that I've provided, that these rents that they're currently getting are below market. Now, the truth of the matter is, if I was getting these tenants out to putting new tenants in there, I would be listing these apartments for $1,800 plus. So to answer your question, to an existing tenant, it might not be common to raise it 40, 50%. You're absolutely right. But to remove that tenant and put somebody else that's going to pay the market rent, that is definitely something that I've seen done. And it happens all the time with investors in the area.
Can I ask a question? Do we have any objectors at all? Are there any tenants that, does Mr. Lizardos or any of his tenants at this hearing today to object to this application or? this-
We have 3 members of the public, but I'm not sure if those are tenants or not.
Because I would really like to hear them. I think that's extremely important. So, I mean,
And Mr. Graziano, can we go over the application, the actual application? Do we want to speak to that, or is there a different order that we should be going in?
Yes, I guess at some point, Mr. Vistardos is going to be taking us through the pages that he submitted to us. And I would suggest when he gets to the landlord tenant registration form, which is page 4 of the 17-page PDF he submitted, that he gives us the actual up-to-date figures as of today, as opposed to when he first filed this application.
Kabira, I see Beatrice as one of the attendees, and she's a tenant. Beatrice Laura.
okay, because I think that if we follow the schedule that we discussed at yesterday's planning meeting, after we hear from the petitioner, we should hear from the objectors. And then the objectors are given the floor to give cross-examination.
The other
So-
thing, I'm sorry.
So if there are in fact objectors, then I think that we should open the floor, give them the opportunity to be heard.
Yes, but after Mr. Vistardos is done presenting his case,
Got you. That wasn't clear to
Okay.
me. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I would like for him to go through, I think Megan pulled up the email that has kind of a little bit more in order. So it has the rent application that the rent leveling board has up on the website, the landlord hardship or capital income application, the registration form, property information. And so I just kind of wanted to go in order, in that particular order, just so that it could be a little easier for everyone to ask questions in regard to the entire application that was submitted, if that's okay.
Ms. Poe, I think that's an excellent suggestion on behalf of, or from Ms. Huerta. Let's have Mr. Vistardos take us through the application he submitted.
Sounds excellent. You've got the floor, Mr. Vistardos.
All right, so if you'd like me to go through that document that's on the screen, is that right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
mean, this is just factual here.
Okay. So
But
it says, are you
I
applying-
see, yeah, but I see, can we go back for a second? What about question number 5? There was no answer to that one.
Did you notify the board of the sale or title transfer? Honestly, just like you folks are all learning the process of how to go through this meeting, I've been learning the process of how to handle a 6-family building. So I wasn't even aware that I had to do that. So I didn't know what to answer that question because, like I told you, this is my first time owning a 6-family building. So I was learning as I'm going along the road too.
Just for the record too, Mr. Visardos, when did you and your partner first purchase this building?
October 2000 and not last year, 2020.
Okay. All right, so
I do have a question in regard to number 2, background information. You're applying for a major capital improvement. And in that list, you do include maintenance, repairs, and management fees.
Yes.
However, in your letter, you said that you were not including maintenance and management fees. And then you also said that you were rebating one of your tenants to do those, to fulfill some work for decreased rent. So this is not really the up-to-date information.
Well, it might not be up to date, but it's actually what I've done with that one tenant should really be irrelevant because if a maintenance cost if there's a cost to it, if I have to pay a cleaning person to come do service on my building and it costs $200, $300 a month, whatever the cost is, if I'm making that arrangement with a tenant to reduce their rent for that cost of that, the value of that still should remain the original value of it.
Correct. I just want to make sure that the information that's being presented is what I'm seeing that you submitted. So I don't see any estimates of what your major capital improvements, like your plan on what that entails.
Got it. Okay. Well, we bought this building with the intention of renovating the whole building. I want to renovate everything in the building. Electric. We need to redo the roof. We want to renovate every single unit in the building. Kitchens, bathrooms, etc. The whole thing. Unfortunately.
So do you have estimates or what the projected cost on all of that will be? Quotes from contractors, permits, the cost of it. So it's just basically like proof of what the cost for those improvements will be.
My partner, Manuel, is a contractor in the area. Manny, can you chime in real quick and just give us an estimate of what it would cost to renovate the whole building?
Sure.
We have to swear him in though,
Yes.
right?
That's correct, Ms. Michael. Yes, he must be sworn in first.
Can I just interrupt here because the ordinance requires that this sort of information be included in the application. For us to be given this information at the hearing, I think is inappropriate. For all sides. I mean, we barely have little time to review this new information, and the other side that may be objecting has not even had an opportunity to hear this information as well. So I just want to put that on the record. I think that's this may be, a jurisdictional issue here. The ordinance requires that an application for capital improvements include the cost of those capital improvements, the plan, and a lot of other details.
Yeah, but again, the capital improvements is just a piece of this puzzle here, of what we're trying to do. That's just one piece of it.
But you're
Regardless,
asking for capital improvements. And if you want capital improvements, the ordinance requires you to give specific details as to what those improvements will be and the costs of same. That's lacking in your application. So how?
okay,
are we supposed
and
to
how about
make a
my
ruling on
hardship?
that?
Can we discuss that?
Well,
Yes,
That shouldn't be lacking.
we can certainly discuss that, sir, but if you would like us to make a ruling on your application, the ordinance requires that certain information be included in that application. Otherwise, we cannot make a ruling on your application. Look at the ordinance.
Okay, so if my partner creates an invoice right now for the renovations real quick while we're on this call?
No,
and upload
no,
it
not,
to the
not,
meeting,
not right,
that's
not
fine?
right now. This has to be submitted as part of your application, so we could review it. As Ms. Myers was just saying, Mr. Vistardos, we can't just be hearing stuff from Mr. Vega for the first time tonight. No one has had the opportunity to prepare for it, and it's not in compliance with ordinance 15-3.3 subparagraph B.
If
that-
we were
so-
informed, I could have had that prepared.
Well, it's
Sir,
it's up to you
were
to read.
informed.
It's
You
up
were
to you to
given-
read the ordinance, Mr. Vistardos.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so just, I guess, could we go back to the initial application? So that was one of my questions with regard to the initial application. So that was in the second question in the background information. Are you applying for major capital improvements and what's the increase? The next question I had was number 5. If the new owners notified, I'm sorry, the number 6, does your lease comply with section 15-2.6 notice of tenants rights? So in the leases that I was able to review today that was sent out to us, I do not see that. So I'll just go over what 15-2.6 notice of tenants rights says. Every lease shall contain a provision which shall advise the tenant in a conspicuous manner of the name and address of the rent leveling board, the maximum rent allowable, and the tenant's right to object to a proposal rental increase. The tenant's right to a hearing before the rent leveling board if objection is filed within 30 days of the notification of any proposed rental increase, and the tenant's right to appeal the findings of the board of the township council. This notice of tenants' rights shall be given at the inception of every lease and annually in the case of renewals. In the case of periodic tenant, the same notice of tenants' rights shall be given at the inception and at the anniversary of every tenancy. So that is in our ordinance, and I didn't see that in your leases that were submitted or were presented to us.
Does the board have an addendum that usually goes on to the lease that we can have the tenant sign?
No, that's something you need to put in your leases, Mr. Vistardos, according to the statute that was just quoted. The ordinance that was just quoted.
Okay. Again, I'm learning as I'm going along as well, and I wasn't aware that that's a necessity, but on my future leases, I will make sure I add that in there.
Excuse me, may I interject? I need to ask, does the township typically provide something to landlords to make sure they're in compliance when they're acquiring these properties, so they kind of know how to where is that information obtained? Does
So
anyone?
Our ordinance is on the rent leveling board. It's on the township website. So it is available for both landlords and tenants to the public.
Okay, okay.
And
So
state
every
law
landlord has access to it.
Yes, everyone has access to it. And also the applications were made fairly recently, but these applications to make the process a little bit easier on landlords and tenants who want to file these kinds of, these kinds of forms. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Does anyone have any further questions?
I mean, I have a whole lot of other questions, but I don't know if this is the appropriate time to be asking those questions, or should we continue to allow petitioner to finish his, presenting his case? I'm not sure procedurally where I should start asking my questions. That's.
I think Ms. Myers, maybe we should let Mr. Vistardos finish taking us through his application,
Yep.
correcting it or amending it where necessary so that we can get an accurate picture of the case he's trying to present. So Mr. Vistardos, would you please pick up where you left off? I think we were on page 2, or was it 3 of the document that's up on the screen right now?
Okay, so that page. Well, I have increased now. Question number 8 says provide net notice of rental increase. I did increase the rent after I bought the building. I bought it in October. Those leases were signed in January. We increased the rent. And again, I wasn't up to date because literally it just happened this month. We raised the tenant's rent 2% according to the ordinance. Again, so there's a little bit more of an increase in the rent, but it's a total of 5 units. I think it's like $25. It only changes the numbers by like $120, $130. In the large scheme of things, it doesn't really change much.
Can I ask a quick question? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Counselor, go ahead.
So these aren't the right numbers now?
That's correct. Yeah, I mean, I made this application back in December. I just changed their rent today, like the last couple of weeks for this month. So I didn't have a chance to update everything.
I mean, that just opens the door to a plethora of more questions. Well, first of all, with regards to these new rent, these new rents that you're charging, when you purchased the property in 2020, were there any existing leases in effect?
They were leases from like 10, 15 years ago. They were just going month to month. The previous owner owned the building for, I think, like 30, 40 years. And these tenants had been in there for probably, some of them up to 20 years in the building, and he never raised the rents on them at all in that time frame that they were there.
So you're telling me that each and every tenant in that property did not have a current written lease when you purchased it when you purchased the property in 2020?
It was month to month. There was an existing, I had the leases that they had previously signed, but then the old landlord had like extensions written up, were like 1-paragraph extensions extending their tenancy.
So I'm not sure if I'm hearing you correctly. Were there or were there not existing lease agreements for every unit in that property when you purchased it in 2020? I'm not talking about a lease agreement that was signed 20 years ago. I'm talking about a current lease that did not expire, or that would not expire until after your purchase date.
Let me see what the addendum, I'm pulling it up right now. The leases that I have are all dated 98. Well, one was from 2018. But most of them 98.
And what were the expiration dates of those leases? Did they already expire?
They had already expired, but then the existing landlord had leases. Here, if I could share my screen real quick to show you.
Sure, you can do that.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
These are what was provided to me. Which screen do you see? The one with all the icons on there? Or do you see the one with the lease on it?
I see the one with the lease.
Okay, this is what I was provided for active leases.
Okay, so this one here with the, that's with Amelia Calderon. It says date March 29th, 2019. I don't know what that means. Is that the commencement date of that lease? Okay, yeah. Okay, so I'm looking at here. It says date lease terminated April the 30th, 2020. And you purchased the property when again?
October.
March?
October.
Oh, October of 2020. Okay, so that's for Ms. Calderon. What about the other ones?
Another Miss Calderon here, unit 3.
Okay,
Unit 4,
all right,
Unit 5,
mm-hmm,
and Unit 6.
got it. Okay, so then my next question is, what type of notice did you serve on the tenants before you increased the rent?
I met with them because I had these, but these were expired leases. So I sat down, I met with all of them. We all agreed on an increase to the rent. And then I gave them new leases based on what we all agreed upon.
So this was a verbal agreement. You didn't give them any sort of written notice that you intended to increase the rent and terminate the old lease, correct?
As far as I was concerned, I didn't even have a lease. These were month to month.
Okay, so,
I
but,
see.
so I still go back to my question. Did you give them any written notice that you intended to increase the rent? Or you just had some sort of verbal agreement and then you increased the rent?
We discussed it verbally. All the tenants in the same room with me discussed it verbally. We all came to an agreement. And then I provided them with a lease for, it wasn't like literally the next month that I increased it. We
So
had
no
the
written prior
discussion.
notice. Okay, got you. That's it for me, thank you.
Any other questions?
I guess,
Hello?
Ms. Poe, should Mr. Vistardos then just proceed?
He should definitely proceed. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Next question. Have you ever been approved or denied a rent increase by the board? No. Do you charge the tenants for rental of parking spaces? No. Copies of expenses, copies of leases. I provided that. And I guess it says estimates of proposed capital improvement. We didn't provide that.
So, okay, ladies and gentlemen of the board, I don't think we've got a capital improvement application in front of us right now because we're missing some key proofs. We certainly have a hardship application, but not a capital improvement. But that'll be for you to decide later on. But that's my opinion at this point in the presentation. So please proceed, Mr. Vistardos.
Okay. So then I guess the next screen, as you see up above, mortgage payment. That's my mortgage payment, which includes taxes. So even though the taxes are listed separately, as I see in parentheses, it says included in the mortgage. So that 570604 includes my taxes for the building. The insurance, utilities, which covers common area and water. Sewer bill, I broke it down for the building based over each month, even though it's a yearly bill that comes out. Maintenance for the building, repairs estimate, management fee. Again, even though I'm the one doing the managing of the building, if we had hired a company, they would be charging us, and actually that number is even low, but usually management companies charge 10% of the gross rents to manage a building. So as you can see, I'm using only $5,000 a month, so it's a little lighter. It should be about $550. Total monthly expenses come to $72.51, and the total rent collected is $55.31. Granted, that number is a little skewed, as we just discussed, by about $120, $130, but it is a little higher than that. But still, the difference is significant between my expenses and my profit or my rent collected.
I think there's some questions, Melinda. I'm sorry, Deidre, I don't want to step on your toes.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yes, go right ahead, Melinda.
Thank you. Mr. Graziano, is this the sheet that's in front of us now on the screen? Is this counted as a copy of the expenses? Or should he have been able to provide, for example, like the sewer bill or like receipts?
Well, I guess it's really Mr. Vistardos's choice, Ms. Huerta. He's under oath and he's testifying that this information is accurate. we can either take him at his word or we can ask him to provide the backup for this, but he is under oath.
Okay, thank you.
I have some questions. So petitioner, when you purchased or prior to the property purchase, were you not aware of these costs that you're now listing in your application before us today? The sewer costs, the property taxes, the mortgage, well, not necessarily the mortgage, but the property taxes. Were you aware of this before you purchased these costs?
I was.
So, okay, so you were, all right, so you were aware of these costs before you purchased, and you were also aware, were you aware of the fact that there were tenants in the property when you before you purchased the property?
I was aware that there were tenants in there, but I figured I would be able to come to an amicable solution with the tenants to hopefully have them leave on their own accord.
Hold on one second, hold on one second. Okay, so you were aware that there were tenants in the building before you purchased?
Yep.
All right, were you also aware of how much rent they were paying?
I was.
You were, is that correct?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I don't have any additional questions right now.
Proceed, Mr. Vestardos.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't think this has to do anything with the past of what I knew or what I didn't know. I mean, this hardship applies for today and the fact that I'm not able to cover my expenses on the building with the current rent that I'm getting. But I will continue to proceed down the line on this. So where is it? So as you can see on this document, I didn't include unit 1 on here because we had increased the rent, because I did this recently, this document. So I didn't include unit 1 in there, but basically this is the breakdown. Of the rents being collected.
So on these columns here, the current monthly rent for instance, for Amelia Calderon is $830. And the proposed increase under the ordinance is $854.90, but you're not collecting that yet, right?
Well, I increased it 2%. This month was the first month that came in higher.
Okay, so so that's that $846.60 number then.
Correct.
Okay.
You're welcome to proceed, Mr. Vestardos.
My apologies. That's that column right there where that $846, so that entire column is the current rent that is being charged to the tenants as of this month. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome to proceed.
Yep, and I mean that's pretty much it with that document. And then the last one is just the registration form.
So would this apply to number 4? Is your property currently registered with the board for the current year? So initially you checked off no, but is this what that form is?
Yeah, this is my first time. Again, I didn't do it since I bought the building. This is my first time doing it. So there's I guess I should have answered yes to that question, but I guess because I was doing it at the same time, I didn't know any better. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just want to make sure that I'm seeing the correct things as per the application. That's all.
You're welcome to proceed.
Yeah, I mean, that's really it. That document just has all my information as far as registering the building. And I mean, really the main thing as far as, again, I'm a numbers guy. I bought the building obviously for a reason. So the one document that lists the income and expenses, that's the main document that, I keep looking at and basically wondering, where the difference is coming from. We live in a town that dictates a certain marketable rent for our school system and to be in our neighborhoods. And not for nothing. I mean, at $800, $900 a month, you can't even find those apartments in other towns that you could usually get cheaper rents. And that's not going to happen. But in West Orange, there's nothing that's this low.
Okay, so I do have a question. Deirdre, Do I have a permission to ask? Okay, so
Do.
I'm gonna
Yes, you
push
do.
back. I'm gonna push back, petitioner, on your statement that my prior question was not relevant. It is relevant, because now you're coming before us telling us that it's a hardship to continue to own a property because the rents are too low. But before you purchased that property, you testified today that you were well aware of what those rents would be. You were well aware of what the expenses would be. Given that information, why purchase this property? Why not purchase a property that has, where the tenants are paying higher rents, for example? Why did you buy this property?
For a couple of reasons. First off, I bought it based on the price that I bought it for was based on the marketable rent that it was, the rent that it was getting at the moment. So I got the building cheaper than what it's actually worth. Okay, that's number one. Number two, as an investor, and again, this is my first time dabbling in something that's rent control over 4 units. Usually I do 2 families, 3 families, things that are not governed by rent control. So again, that world is a little different to live in than it is in this world, being under rent control. So again, I was under the impression that it would be a little easier. Maybe these tenants, since they've been there that long, maybe I'll wait it out. Maybe one of them leaves, maybe another one of them leaves. And then as they left, I would increase each one accordingly to a marketable rent to bring the property up to cash flow positive.
But what are the tenants getting out of this? I mean, you're constantly talking about what benefit you're gaining, from this. What benefit are the tenants gaining from this application?
Well, they're gaining from living in the building. They live in West Orange.
But
They
they have a
live
right
in our
to live
wonderful
there.
community.
They have a right to live there. It's always been their right.
Okay.
Before you even purchase, they have a contractual right to those premises. I see that there are multiple hands, so I'm going to stop here.
I just wanted to make a statement that purchasing a property doesn't dictate future income. He, as a potential landlord, he purchased the building to make money off of it, right? Income property. And it is his right that as tenants leave, he may increase the price, to the 1,500 as he did for unit 1. 800 is way below market price. I have done my research on 2 bedrooms in West Orange, and the average price now for a 2-bedroom is about 1,700, 1,800. So again, I honestly believe that that purchasing a property does not dictate the future income.
I have a question as well.
Go ahead, Melinda.
Mr. Graziano, this I guess would be like an open, who dictates what the marketable rent is or should be or could be? How is that number formulated for the purpose of this meeting?
Well, we would have to swear in Mr. Lizardo Vestardo as an expert witness. Right now, he's a fact witness. I mean, if you really want to get down to the New Jersey rules of evidence, he's testifying as to facts right now. If he wants to give his opinion as a real estate professional, then we need to we need to qualify him as such. We need him to testify as to his years of experience, his experience with the rental market, and then he would give it an opinion. Fact witnesses testify as to facts. Expert witnesses would testify as to their opinions.
Mr. Graziano, would a CMA, a comparative market analysis, be considered evidence for the rents?
If it was authored by the petitioner, yes. If it was authored by somebody else, it's hearsay.
But he doesn't have it here in this case.
Well, no, but he could testify as to his knowledge of the market, and then we'd have to decide, we'd have to give his testimony the weight we thought appropriate to it. If it's not backed up by written evidence, that's something you can take into account as in evaluating his testimony as an expert witness.
May I ask a question, Mr. Graziano?
Yes.
I'd like to know, it's a rent-controlled property. So my question is, in the township of West Orange, what is the legal rent increase when you own a rent-controlled property?
Our ordinance says that it's 3% in any, up to and including 3% in any 12-month period.
Thank you.
So
So that means he wouldn't be able to raise it more than 3%.
without making a hardship application, you can't raise it more than 3% in any 12-month period.
I
Okay.
see. I see.
Thank
you.
That's,
Thank you for clarifying.
I have a jurisdictional question. So the ordinance requires that the petitioner file an affidavit of service to be provided for every tenant. I don't see that in this application, Mr. Bastardos. Am I missing something here? Because that's a jurisdictional prerequisite to this application pursuant to the ordinance.
I'll look at Peter's original email to me with all the documents needed to sign, but I don't, I filled out I completed every document that was on the email that was sent to me.
But please understand that it's not, the requirement doesn't vest in Peter. It's a legal requirement. It's the law. You know, and if you're going to file an application that you want, you know, this hardworking rent leveling board to make a decision on, you have to comply with the law in its four corners.
I understand that completely, but unfortunately, how am I supposed to abide by the law when I don't know what it is? How was I supposed to know that that was another document that you needed?
So, sir, you were given a copy of the ordinance, you know, and I'm getting this information from the ordinance. You conceded that you made this application some months ago. So I would presume that you had a decent amount of time to review the ordinance to ensure that you were in compliance with all of its, you know, requirements. You know, the first time you put in the application, you were told that it was deficient. And I'm going to assume that you reviewed the ordinance to ensure that you submitted all of the documents necessary. I mean, you were given several months to do this. I'm looking at the ordinance just like, you know, you had the opportunity to do. I don't think that I'm some sort of expert or anything like that.
All right, can you tell me exactly where it is on the ordinance? Because there's a lot of small print that maybe I missed.
15,
Just tell me where it is.
ordinance 50, section 15-3.3, subparagraph A,
Yep.
the very last sentence.
So Attorney Graziano, I'm just wondering if this is a jurisdictional prerequisite. that we're
Affidavit,
dealing with here.
slow down. I'm sorry, 1 second. So the letter that I sent out to the tenants, isn't that the affidavit?
No, that's the
The notice
notice.
that I sent them?
That's the notice. An affidavit is proof that you served each tenant with required notice. Please look at the ordinance.
The rent receipts should count as proof. Those are certified registered mail.
That
You
is
just read
not
it
an
from the book.
affidavit.
It was
That
just
is
right
not an
there.
affidavit. An affidavit is a certification by the petitioner under penalty of punishment that they're, you know, that they're telling the truth, that they did X, Y, and Z. You know, an affidavit is the same thing as a certification. You know, so Attorney Graziano, you know, I'm wondering if we have a jurisdictional issue here. You know, I think that that's a, you know, proper service of process. If you go to court and we're adhering to the rules of court, we agreed on that yesterday. You know, if
May
the
I?
petitioner
sorry.
has not served proper notice on the other side, then the case must be tabled.
I gave them certified registered mail that they have to sign to accept that document. I put one in their mailbox and I also publicly posted it in the hallways of the building.
Okay, so I think that I said what I had to say because none of those things are affidavits, sir.
The registered mail shows that there's a US Post Office. It's certified that it's going to go to that person.
I think
So
all that's
based on-
necessary is that you just have to write that out and submit it to us so that we can understand that that's the process that you took. So I would agree with you that those certified letters would meet that qualification. You just need to include that as part of the application to say on such and such a date, you can see this receipt. That receipt certifies that this was given notice to each one of the tenants. As evidence of that, these 6 receipts have been submitted. It's simply a procedural thing that Ms.
Okay.
Myers seems to be stuck on.
Mr. Graziano, can you confirm?
Can I confirm what?
what they're saying?
It
Based
says.
on, based on
it
Kabir's
says-
point of view and Anthony's point of view?
It says that the landlord has to serve a notice of the application with affidavit of service to be provided on each tenant no less than 10 days prior to the hearing. So basically, Mr. Vistardos needs to provide an affidavit that says on such and such a date, which should be 10 days before today, I served the attached notice on these 5 tenants. And here's the certified mail return receipt, requested, showing that they got it. That's what's
then-
missing here.
So then
Yeah, so-
Kabir is correct then. There isn't jurisdiction then, right? Kabir,
Yeah,
just you
Can I
said?
write it right now and sign it?
If we
And
were in
email it to
court,
everybody?
this case would not be heard today because the proper service of process would not have been adhered to pursuant to the court rules. And again, we decided to follow the New Jersey rules of court in this particular case. And if I were in court, I would ask for a dismissal without prejudice.
Well, I think the board needs to decide whether to allow Mr. Vistardos to supplement his written materials that he presented to us. Either that, or the board needs to decide that we can't go any further tonight until he complies. So that's a choice for you to make as the board, because as we discussed yesterday at our workshop, we do have the discretion to relax the rules in the interests of justice if we so decide.
Mr. Graziano, should we take a vote on that? Should that take place now? Should that take place?
Yeah, I think if you, Madam Chair, if you want to propose such a motion, or if any other board member wants to propose such a motion, then now's the time. And we've been at this for an hour and 10 minutes. So
Exactly. So I would like to propose that we either give Mr. Vistardos the opportunity to provide additional information, or I think that's what's on the table. Would everyone agree that we should provide Mr. Vistardos the opportunity to offer up his supplemental information, and then we meet at a later date?
So wait, what supplemental information would that be? Because if it's with
It
regards to.
would be the affidavit, and anyone can chime in if I've left something out,
Yes,
right?
may
So-
I?
Yes, sure.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did notice that this application was a bit lacking. There was a lot of incomplete things that were not submitted, and we had a lot of emails coming in the day of, so it was not enough time for the board members to review. So I think that the two options would be to give Mr. Vistardos an opportunity to present at a later time a full, complete application, now that he knows what is required of him. Or as Mr. Graziano said, we have the ability to relax the rules in the interest of justice. Do we want to continue with this application today? So I think those are the two options that are on the table. I'm not sure. That's just my opinion.
Okay, so let's take a vote. All those in favor of,
well, Ms. Poe, we should really put it in the form of a motion. I'm sorry to interject.
all right,
but,
no, please.
And we should keep it to one thing per motion. So it'd be for example, it'd be I motion that we do X, and then we have discussion about that, and then we have a vote, and then maybe a second motion. I motion that we instead do Y, and that's another discussion and another vote. Okay, so
All
the
right.
first the first motion might well be something along the lines of, I motion that we relax the rules and allow Mr. Vistardos to proceed with his presentation tonight, and then with the ability to supplement the record later on, after we adjourn tonight, and bring his application into compliance. That would be one way to go. The other way to go would be, I motion that Mr. Vistardos's application isn't complete and we should adjourn and give Mr. Vistardos, a month, till the next hearing to bring his application into compliance, and then we'll hear it. So it's a question of, do we proceed now on an incomplete application and he gives it to us later? Or do we say, hold it, adjournment, and you give us the information and then we continue the hearing? Those are the two choices.
I have
Yeah.
a comment. I agree with Kabira. I really think that it should be a full, complete application. And, we have to be fair, follow the law across the board.
So that's why I'm going to make a motion and we're going to vote. So
Or
I will
somebody else has to make a motion, or does the chair
Okay.
make the motion? I'm
Well,
sorry.
she can make a motion if she wants to. She's a member too. So,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
member and chair.
Okay, now I would like to make a motion that how do I say this? That we relax the rules and allow Mr. Vistardos to proceed this evening. All those in favor, say aye. All those against can object.
Can I have a question before we take that vote?
Yes.
So if we choose to go forward and we rule against Mr. Vistardo, does he have the opportunity to then resubmit the application thereafter? Or what are his options? But I guess I'd want to hear a little bit of Mr. Vistardo. What would you prefer? Do you want to take the time, or would you rather that we try to go forward with the application as is?
I mean, truthfully speaking, look, as I've said to you multiple times this evening, this is my first time at this rodeo. Okay. And I would, as much as I want to say, let's proceed tonight, as much as I want to, I think that based on everything we've discussed, if I can have time, get you the affidavit, update the income and expenses accordingly, including that new rental on that first floor, to update all the numbers accurately for everybody.
Mhm.
Okay. The supporting documentation that I submitted from now until 2 weeks, 3 weeks is not going to change much. I'll have updated listings to show at that time as well, but I don't think that's going to really change much between now and then. And please, if there's any, I'd rather us adjourn this and push it forward.
Yep.
So I can prepare appropriately, get all my income and expenses accurately. I'll get you the affidavit. If whatever else is needed, please, I would love for everybody to chime in and tell me, and I will gladly prepare everything and be a lot more prepared next time.
Compliant.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
We'll
That's,
invite you
that's
Mr.
great. That's great
Graziano.
commentary.
Ordinance.
Yeah, that's great commentary. Thank you.
Mr. Graziano, is the board allowed to provide Mr. Vistardos like a comprehensive list of everything that he is expected to bring? Is the ordinance so straightforward that it's self-explanatory, or is a list required? What do you recommend?
We have to walk a fine line, Madam Chair, between informing the public, which includes Mr. Vistardos and Mr. Vega, and giving legal advice. We can't give legal advice to people,
Right, of
whether
course.
they're landlords or tenants. But so the question would be, I think maybe that analysis should happen more at Mr. Smeraldo's office. Whether the application is compliant. I don't think we should sit here saying, okay, Mr. Vistardos, don't forget, you got to dot this I and you got to cross that T.
Okay.
And then you turn around 3 times and jump up in the air and you have an application.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Follow
fair.
directions pretty easily, if you do that for me, I'll get you whatever you need.
Can I just say something before Ms. Poe makes her motion? It sounds to me like petitioner is voluntarily withdrawing his application. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Bastardos. But because if you are, then I don't know if there's a need to make a motion.
Yep,
Please
that was
correct me if I'm
that was
wrong.
my point.
If that's what this means for us to adjourn this until maybe next month, or I guess you guys meet once a month, right? This board meets once a month. So if we do push back from tonight, that means we're meeting again in another 30 days from now, the beginning of March, right?
It would be the question, Mr. Vistardos, of whether, as we just said, whether you're withdrawing your application or are we merely adjourning to allow you to supplement your proofs or correct them in some cases, and then we continue with this hearing. So if we allow that, then it's the same application. If you withdraw this, then you've got to file everything all over again, with a new form and everything, or forms.
And my only concern, if I may, my only concern is if he doesn't withdraw, that he quote unquote supplements, that it's going to be new information that the tenants were not made privy to. And if this were a court of law, that would be a violation of due process. So I don't know if it's a good idea for us to allow him to supplement on the same application. And then another question I have, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Graziano.
What about supplementing with new notice to the tenants? He's got to serve everything on them again.
I guess that's fair. And then a question I have with regards to notice, Mr. Bastardos, do any of the tenants speak other languages? Because my question is, if they cannot read or speak English, how do we know that they were properly informed?
They all seem to speak English to me perfectly well when I communicate with them. So I really didn't expect that to be an issue. But if since we are adjourning this till next month, if you think it's better that I write in a lot of the tenants are Hispanic. So if you'd like me to put it in Spanish underneath in English as well, since we are going to be setting this up for next month, I have no problem doing that on the next notice.
Well, like Counselor said, we can't give advice, but I think that it is something you might want to look into. And I hope that Mr. Graziano, I'm not skirting the line of giving advice. Please tell me if I am. But I would certainly feel more comfortable if in fact there were tenants on the premises whose first language was not English, that had difficulty reading English, and you presented us with evidence that you provided them with notice in the language that they could understand.
Fair enough.
Okay. So, Mr. Graziano, may I make a motion, or do I need to make a motion that we adjourn this evening's meeting and postpone to a future date where Mr. Bastardos can provide supplemental information? Can we make a motion to do that? Would anyone like to second that motion?
With new notice, right? To the
With
tenants.
new notice, exactly.
With new
And so
notice
that-
of all new material. Or
So
the
not a
entire.
Not a withdrawal of the application, but simply an adjournment with the opportunity to provide supplemental material and provide notice to the tenants. Is that
Is that our motion to make, or is that dependent on Mr. Bastardos? Like, does Mr. Bastardos, is it his preference to start a new,
From what I
retract this?
understood, from what I understood, it was not. Mr.
Okay.
Bastardos, did I understand you correctly?
I don't want to stir any complications here. I will gladly redo documents. That's not an issue. But whatever's easier on your plates, on your side of things, like, would it be easier to cut it off and start fresh next time? Would it be easier for me to just supplement and get updated documents, update everything? I don't have any problem going whichever direction everybody wants me to go. Whatever's easiest for you. For me to redo the documents, it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Most of the documents.
Mr. Graziano, Mr. Graziano, I'm sorry. So, I mean, we cannot give advice. This is just, he has to make that decision on his own.
We can make a decision as to whether we want him
Okay.
to supplement, or whether we, I mean, we can't make him withdraw his application, but we could, in theory, dismiss it if we wanted to, saying, hey, your application's incomplete, case dismissed, and, you can refile if you want to. That's
Okay.
another way to go.
All
Okay,
right,
so those, okay.
But
So may I make- Go ahead.
I think if anyone's asking me my opinion, maybe, so in the interest of economy, and because we've already put some time into this application, I would recommend to the board that you will let Mr. Bastardos supplement with notice on new notice to the tenants, and an affidavit of service, Mr. Bastardos, please.
Can I just confirm the affidavit of service just has to be a signed document for me stating that I went to the post office and sent these notices by certified mail
On such and such a
on
date,
such and such date?
I sent the attached notice to the following persons. And here's the return receipts to show that they got them.
Understood.
Signed, Mr. Vistardos, and notarized, and you're good to go.
Understood.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion that we adjourn this evening's meeting, providing Mr. Vistardos to give us supplemental information, including proper service to his tenants and the appropriate affidavits. All those in favor?
Aye.
If I could just, I am so sorry, guys. I just want to make sure that if we could add to that it's in the languages that can be understood by the tenants. That's the only addition that I would like to put to that. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion that we adjourn this evening's meeting, allowing Mr. Vistardos to provide supplemental information, allowing Mr. Vistardos to, I'm at a loss, but anyway, he's providing supplemental information
May I make the
with the
motion?
appropriate service in the language, in both English and whatever language the tenants understand. Can I make a motion to do all those things? Did I leave anything out? And if I didn't, all in favor?
I'll
say
second
With
that.
proper notice? With proper
with
notice?
proper notice,
That was already covered.
supplemental information, and in the language that the tenants, their first language.
Second that.
Second, oh, okay.
Second. Right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, it's
Who was the
seconded. So Mr. Smeraldo, can you please call the roll and get a vote on that motion that Ms. Poe put forth?
Yes. Okay. For the motion that's brought forward, I'm going to ask Mr. Anthony Campagna,
Yes.
Board Member Ms. Melinda Huerta,
Yes.
Board Member Ms. Asmer Geber-Michael,
Yes.
Board Member Ms. Kabira Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez is not here, or Chairperson Sanders.
Yes,
Motion carries.
excellent. Okay, Mr. Graziano, with your guidance, what happens now?
Well, Mr. Vistardo, our petitioner, will submit to Mr. Smeraldo what supplemental materials he needs to either correct or supplement his application, including the affidavit of service and proof of notice to the tenants. And we either, and then Mr. Smeraldo can, if he gets it in time for next month's meeting, we can put it on for next month. If Mr. Vistardos needs more time, and then I guess it's on for 2 months from now.
Well, it'll be next month, or you'll have everything you need right away.
Excellent. So now, Attorney Graziano, can we close the meeting now?
Excuse me, I'm going to interject here, Madam Chair. Mr. Graziano and Mr. Vestardo, just so we're clear, for next month, our meeting is scheduled for March 10th. I would kindly ask as the administrator that all documents are sent to me by no later than March 3rd. So this way I can provide the documents to the board so they can have ample time to review. And in addition, I have been summoned to jury duty for March 8th, so I will be out of the office. So for in the time to make sure everybody's aware and understand that I may have to be out of the office for a little while, I want to make sure that we have everything properly noticed and received and sent to the board in a timely manner. Is that acceptable?
Can I make a request with regards to the filing of the petition or the submission of documents? Or should I hold that until the petitioner has left the hearing? Because it's more of an internal business question, albeit
I
public.
think you should hold it. What do you think, Mr. Graziano?
Yes, if it doesn't pertain to Mr. Vistardos's application, then we should discuss it after after we adjourn his hearing.
Sounds good.
Okay, I would like to make a motion now that we adjourn this hearing. All those in favor? Oh, how do we do this?
Second.
Actually, I do believe you have on the agenda, you before you close out you could close out the hearing. but
Yes.
we have matters where you can open up to comments from the general public, not related to this matter, but just in comments to the general public. That is part of your agenda. So I want to remind you of that of your agenda, whether you choose to do that or not. You're the chairperson, but you have public comment and then adjournment. And I do believe Megan told me right, there are some people who are in the audience. I don't know if they're here for the hearing or they're here for other purposes, but I just want to remind you of that.
I would like to open up the floor, but may I ask Peter, do we allow Mr. Vistardos to go on with his evening? Do we dismiss him from the meeting?
That's a
Or
question for Mr. Graziano.
Yes, I believe we just did adjourn his hearing, so I think we're not going to hear anything further on Mr. Vistardos's application. So I think we're done for the evening,
Okay.
Mr. Vistardos, and we'll see you next month.
Can I just ask one question?
Yes.
If you're going to be opening this topic up to viewers, shouldn't I be present for what's being discussed on my building?
Well, you're a member of the public.
Yeah, Megan, can we put
stay,
him over to the attendees side?
Sure.
That's probably the best way to do it, Mr. Campagna.
I can definitely do that. You just have to hang on one second. We have at least one member of the public that would like to speak. Hang
Okay.
on. I will move the,
Can we also make it clear to the members of the public that, I mean, is it allowed? I'm sorry, let me ask that question, re-ask the question. Are we allowed to discuss this particular case in the public now that the hearing is closed?
No, we shouldn't discuss this case if it's not part of the hearing.
Not discuss, just, for example, there are members of the public here. If in case they were, tenants perhaps, are they able to speak, to the case?
We can hear what they have to say, but the case has been adjourned. I mean, it's kind of a fine line between public comment and the case. If an objector shows up, I mean, if they would have to show up at the next meeting and then go in their proper order to present their official position. But if they want to be heard tonight, Ms. Huerta and other members of the board, I don't see the harm in that. If they just want to speak or ask questions of us.
Thank you.
Okay.
okay, so I was
So-
able to remove the two applicants and we can deal with a member of the public.
Okay, I'd like to open the floor to the public for comment.
Okay, Elizabeth, could you state your name and address for the record?
She's on mute.
Can you unmute?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Do you want to see me, or is that okay without the camera?
No, no camera's fine.
Okay. So my name is Elizabeth Diaz, and my mom lives in 91 Ashland Avenue, in apartment 3, and also my grandma lives in apartment 1. My mom speaks a little bit of English, but it's better for me to speak since I'm fluent in English. So I heard what Mr. Vistardos had to say, and my mom and my grandma's been living there for over 30 years, and they've been paying what you saw. Now the new owner, he knew that they were living there already. And when he came in, he told them that, they had a month or 2 to leave because they were gonna renovate the apartments. And then if they wanted to come back, they were gonna raise the prices to whatever amount he's saying. Now, to my understanding, he knew that they were living there, so he can't just tell them to leave. Aside from that, if he's trying to raise the rent, like one of the board members said, it's gonna be 50% of what she's paying. So I think it's, a little unfair. Just recently, he told my mom and my grandma that he was going to increase to 3%, which it is, that's what the 3% is supposed to be. But I read on your website that if they're paying for heat, that it should only be 2%. If I'm wrong, please tell me.
I believe you are correct.
Exactly. So when my mom told him that, he didn't want to budge, but he did at the end. So that's my reason right now.
Okay, thank you for your comment.
And they've been
Any
paying.
other
rent
members
every
of the public would like to speak?
Well, if there's no one else, I make a motion that
I
we
think
adjourn.
there's someone from the public
See
just
your
raised their
hand.
hand.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't see. I'm sorry. My
No, that's
mobile
okay.
is not clear. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Beatrice Laura. They hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. And I live in the 91 third floor, apartment number 6. And we always get together when he was talking to us to raise the rent and everything. He's like he was talking to us like a little bit louder, and the way I don't like it. So, and we agree like it's supposed to be the 2%. And he's like, when I told him that was 2%, he was mean with me in a message, in text message. And he was laughing at me like, did you know how to do the 2%? And I say, yes, I do. And he's like, yes, he's like, he talked to us like too loud, and he says that if you don't like it, you can leave. That's a better idea. You can leave. And I say, I'm not gonna leave because I don't have a place to move. And it's like, it's the 2%, and that's the amount that I give to him. And I don't like the voice, he screamed to us, and it's not fair because we always live here. We give the rent on time, and now he was saying that we have to give the rent like the first, and we always do like the first to the fifth, and I'm not gonna be able to give you like the first. The sooner day that I can give the money or the check is the 4th. But he's like, if you don't like it, you can leave. That's better. That's the best idea. So I don't think it's right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
We have a repeat. Elizabeth would like to speak again. It's up to you.
Sure.
Right. Elizabeth, please state your name and address again for the record.
Elizabeth Diaz, for 91 Ashland Avenue. I just wanted to second what she's saying. We did have a meeting with him, like he said. We all got together. And I was basically the one that was translating for them, only because I've lived there since I was 6 years old. So when I got married, I moved, but and they wanted me to speak, and we were all there, and he was very aggressive towards us, especially women. So, and obviously if he was raising his voice at us, I was raising my voice at him too, because not only my mom, but my grandma, she's 80 something years old. And, he was being like that to her. So I don't think that's the manner. If you want to negotiate with us or talk to us, you can talk to us in a normal way. You don't have to like be so mean, like she said. And like she said also, he gave the lease, the month-to-month lease. It said that he had my mom had a grace period of 5 days to give the rent. So my mom also gives him the rent the 4th, because her too, she's a single mom, and she she gets her check, on the 3rd. So on the 4th, she gives it to him. And he said, you have to give it to me on the 1st. But she's told him that on the lease, it said grace period till the 5th. After the 5th, obviously he's supposed to, charge them a late fee. And there's another tenant there that she gives him the rent on the 5th and he doesn't say anything to her. So my question is, does he have a preference? Why is he being like that to some of the tenants and not to others? And I understand that he wants to make money because he's been saying that since he got the building, but it's not our fault it's not my mom's fault that when he bought the building, he already knew that they were there. So how is he gonna raise the price like 50 or 60% more? I just don't think it's fair. So.
Thank
that's it.
you. Okay. The applicant would
you.
like to speak. I don't know if you would allow that now. As a member of the public,
Can you repeat, Megan, who would like to speak?
Mr. Vastarados.
Sure. Mr. Vastardos?
Because he was a previous panelist, he'll show up on the screen.
Okay, I'm not, is anyone seeing him? I am.
Yeah, he's got his camera off, which is fine. You can do
Okay.
either one.
You know what? I actually changed my mind. I do not want to speak any further. I apologize.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Well, I'd like to make a motion and make sure I'm in order now. I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting. Would anyone like to second that?
Second.
I did have a question. I'm sorry, I don't mean to prolong this meeting, but I did have a question about service of the documents because we were receiving things piecemeal and so last minute. I'm just wondering if we could sort of improve the manner in which we as board members receive documents. Can we establish like a shared file or something like that, like a shared drive that we all have access to, so that
Their Google Drive?
Yeah, something like that. I know that the court says an electronic filing system, e-courts. I don't know if West Orange has something like that, but it would be great if we had something like that so that we can timely, bless you, so that we can timely receive the documents, and not rely on one person, to collect all of those documents. I think that that's a pretty heavy lift for one person.
Does anybody have any thoughts about that? I don't even know how we would.
Yeah, I was just
think
procedurally, do we discuss that now? Do we discuss that later?
I think we discuss that later.
Yeah, and I only brought it up because, since the petitioner is going to be submitting new documents, I just want to make sure that, we get everything on time before the next hearing. That's the only thing. But
would it be appropriate to make a motion to have a workshop before the next hearing?
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. I make a motion to have a workshop before the next hearing so that we have all our, ducks in order.
Second.
Thank you.
We have to vote for that?
Yeah.
Do we have to
we
vote
need
for
to
that?
we need to carry the motion.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we have a workshop prior
So
to
we're good. You already,
hearing.
we got a second. So Pete, you
So
just have
what's
to take
next?
roll. So Pete would take roll for our votes on that motion.
Okay, Peter, hit it.
Mr. Campagna,
Yes, in favor.
Ms. Huerta,
Yes.
Ms. Geber-Michael,
Yes.
Ms. Myers,
yes.
Chairperson Sanders,
Yes,
motion carries.
excellent. I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
I'll second that motion.
I believe you can just do a unanimous on this one. We don't have to go through. I don't see any nays.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, for the members of the public, I want to announce again that our next scheduled meeting for the Rent Leveling Board is on March 10th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
All.
Good
Right.
night.
Thank you.